All right, welcome to your first discussion. I'm going to do a demonstration of your assignment, which I call demo a lot. And we're just going to have a little overview of what this is about. So this is in the week 1 module. The first thing I like to do in any art class is get you starting to think about what art is. Is art only what's chosen to hang in a gallery or a museum? Does an object like a sculpture have to be on display for it to be a work of art, or can it be hidden under someone's bed or in a closet? And then I want you to think about music, dance, poetry, fashion, film, the way someone chooses to wear their hair or their clothing or their makeup. Are all of these things art? The nice thing about this is that there's no real right answer. It is what you think and what you make it. I just want you as your teacher to start thinking about these things. What do you think about art? Are you yourself an artist? How many people do you think consider themselves artists? And how many people who don't consider themselves artists that you might think are an artist? This is a quote from an art history textbook, and it says, "Our responses to art are learned behaviors influenced by gender, class, race, education, economic status, and geography." So think about how the way you grew up and where you live, and who you are, determines how you view art and what they mean to you. Nothing is good or bad. It's just we're all coming in here from a different place. So I really want us to remember that for the discussion and for when we're looking at other people's artwork. There's so many different ways to look at these things, and there's no right answer. And I think that is the beauty of art, right? That every single person can see the same image, the same drawing differently and find something different about it that is meaningful to them. So why is art important? Some people think it's just an easy class or it doesn't mean as much as other more academic, in air quotes, classes. But I am here to try to convince you that art is very important. This is a quote from Michelle Obama that sums it up in ways that I never could. Michelle Obama says, "The arts are not just a nice thing to have or to do if there's free time or if one can afford it. Rather, paintings and poetry, music and fashion, design and dialogue, they all define who we are as a people and provide an account of our history for the next generation." So Michelle Obama is thinking about history and future. So whether or not this is the only art class you'll ever take in your life, or this art is going to become your whole life and you're going into the art world, it is an important skill to have and to at least understand and appreciate. This is Henry Moore. He is a sculptor, but I like to show this because these are his drawings for his sculptures made in 1934. So drawing is such a vital part of any kind of art or design. It's a way to get your ideas out quickly. And Henry Moore says, "To be an artist is to believe in life." One of my favorite quotes. This is Georgia O'Keeffe, who's well known for her paintings of flowers, but this is maybe a lesser known of her charcoal drawings, really simple. And I just like to show you these different examples to show you the spectrum of what kind of art and drawing there is out there and how people use drawings on paper. Georgia O'Keeffe says to create one's own world in any of the arts takes courage. And I really want us to start thinking about that, how it is brave and maybe a little scary to create something with your own hands and then share it with other people. That's another level of intimidation, right? So I want you to know that artists have been thinking about this for centuries and decades and all of it. And this is Georgia O'Keeffe's drawing made all the way back in 1919. So people have been feeling this way since they started making art, right? So your discussion assignment is to introduce yourself and meet your classmates. But we're going to do it a little differently maybe than your other discussions in other classes, because I want you to write your answers to the discussion questions on a piece of paper, and you're going to doodle on that piece of paper as well. And that is what you're going to post as an embedded image to the discussion. So you can use any scrap paper, you can use the back of an envelope, you can use pencils, pens, crayons, markers, whatever you have at home. What you're going to write on the paper is your preferred name and pronouns, so we know what to call you and how to address you. And then you're going to doodle something. Think about what you drew when you were a kid. I've heard the quote, dance like no one's watching, but I want you to start drawing like no one's watching. There's no judgment. I'm not expecting it to look great. Think about what you used to just sketch and doodle when you were younger. So you're going to have some writing on the paper, your name and pronouns, and then you're going to have a little doodle or sketch, and you're going to take a photograph or a scan and post it to the discussion. The purpose of this is so that you practice taking good images of your art and posting it to the discussion. So in this first discussion post, really think of it as a practice. And even though it might be on the back of an envelope or on a scrap piece of paper, I want you to take your time taking a nice photo of it, which I will demonstrate in a bit. So make sure you watch the whole video, because you'll be graded on your presentation for all future projects. So I want you to get in the habit of really taking great, clean photos or scans of your artwork. So this is your first drawing really that you're doing for the class, and I want you to really draw like you're a kid again. Most children color with abandon. They don't think about what anyone thinks of it. They have the arms coming out of the head. They're drawing all crazy kinds of monsters and made up things, and they're not feeling self-conscious about it. So think about what makes people stop making art when they get older. And I want you to try to remember what your favorite thing to draw was as a child. Try drawing it, or if you don't want to think about what you drew when you were a kid, you can draw anything that comes to your imagination. You don't have to think about it. Don't judge yourself. Don't try to make it perfect. Just draw and have fun. I am going to show you some examples. Doodling is one of my favorite things to do. It helps me think. It helps me clear my mind. It helps my anxiety. It helps everything. So take your time, just to have fun with this, and don't stress over it. This is from Pablo Picasso, arguably one of the most famous artists in the world. And Picasso says, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once they grow up. So this is one of Picasso's pencil on paper drawings. Anytime there is an underline in my description of the artwork, it means it's a link to more information about the artist, or to the museum or place where this artwork is can be found. So you can always click on those underlined text. I will put a PDF copy of this presentation, of these slides, into Canvas so you can access and get more information. So look at how Picasso is really just making obviously a great portrait of someone, but also writing on it. It's ripped on the top. It's not precious. I want you to use this time to forget the preciousness you hold with art. I don't want you to think has to be perfect. I don't want you to, sit over it and feel that it's bad or judge the way it looks. I just want you to kind of loosen up with this project. Just make something that you don't care what it looks like. There's all the scribbles on the side of this. There's numbers. I don't know if this is a myth but it's a story that I've heard, that Picasso became very famous. He lived into the 70s, the 1970s, and he became very famous in his lifetime. And when he would go to fancy restaurants, instead of paying the bill, he would just scribble sketches onto a napkin. And that is how he paid for things when he got older, which was probably worth way more than any restaurant bill, even if it was an expensive restaurant. So this is an example of one of those just sketches that he made. It's only 4 by 3 inches. It's small. So I always think of sketching and drawing and doodling as kind of seeing into the artist's mind, into the way they think. It's not refined, it's not their final piece, but it's almost like reading a writer's journal, or anyone's journal, really. You're seeing this sort of internal workings of their creative mind. So, what are expectations for the discussion? There's more written about this on Canvas, but basically just be nice to each other. I'm not going to allow any kind of bullying or hate speech or trolling. When we're typing on the internet, it maybe is easy to say something. You might write something that you wouldn't say to someone in person. So really think about what you're writing. This is an educational environment. I want everyone to feel safe. I want us to encourage each other. That doesn't mean that everything needs to be, yay, this looks great, this looks awesome. But think about how you can encourage someone and say, this looks really good. Here's what I think you could do to make it even better. That's encouraging and helpful. We're here to help each other. We're here to work on art. There is nothing else personal that needs to come into these discussions. So the kind of hate speech I'm talking about is nothing, that is misogynist or sexist, nothing that is homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic. There's really no reason to be talking about something personal about someone. We're really only talking about the artwork. And the reason this is so important for me is obviously I want everybody to feel safe posting their work. But even beyond that is that I don't think that you can be creative if you're feeling super stressed out. So I know it's already stressful to be posting your work online and for other people to see it. And it's just the class seeing it, but it still can be stressful to be posting that. So I don't want to add any more stress. So I want you all to know that I will not be taking any kind of, mean language that happens. This is a safe space, an encouraging space. And if you feel unsafe for any reason, please let me know right away. I do read all of the discussion posts every day. So I check it every day. I don't always reply every day, but I am, reading through everything to monitor it. But if I miss something, please just let me know. I want you to feel creative and safe and comfortable to be expressing yourself and to develop as an artist. That is really important for me. So again, just reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns about that. So I am going to do a demonstration just in a little bit. You're going to see the end of this video as my example, but how to get your drawings for this discussion and for all future projects into the computer. Scanning is always the best. Every scanner is different, so you're just going to have to look up instructions for your model. You're also going to want to crop. You can either crop it while you're scanning or on computer software after. Again, I'm not going to go over this because everybody's is going to be so different. There's not really a point for me to go over this because your computer is going to be different. Your scanner is going to be different. You might have one of those printer scanner combos. Those are great. You're just going to need to look it up. Just use Google, look up, type in the model and figure out how to do it. If you need help with that, just ask me, email me. What I'm going to show you how to do is using a phone, or you can also use a digital camera. The most important thing is lighting. You're going to move stuff around. Near a window during daylight is best. I always say turn off the overhead lights and maybe use some, lamps. You also want to stabilize the camera. So I either put my elbows on a table or put my hand or wrist on a table. Or you can rest your phone on a stack of books so that the phone is really stable, because that's when it becomes blurry, is if your hand is moving around, and we're all always moving a little bit. And then you're going to crop it. I don't want to see the little edges like it's ripped out from a notebook, those little things. I don't want to see your hand in there. I don't want to see your beautiful manicure. We're going to crop that all out, because if we see your nail, no matter how gorgeous that nail polish looks, it's going to distract from the photo. The nail is its own work of art. We just want to see your photo of your drawing. So you can crop while you're taking the photo. You can crop on your phone. I'll show you how to do it on an iPhone, but everybody's phone is going to be a little different. So again, just look it up. But really take as much time as you can for the presentation to make it look good. I want this to become a habit. I want you to build good, healthy art habits while you're in school, so that you get used to just, taking images of all your work and keeping copies of it. All right, so here I'm going to show you how to do the discussion drawing that you're going to do. You can use any paper that you want. This is just plain old printer paper. I buy a big thing like this. I use it for everything. You could use this as your sketchbook. You could put a bunch of pieces of printer paper together and just fold it in half. I have them loose all over the place. You can use whatever you have. I'm going to use a pen. I like these Sharpie gel pens. I'm using pen because I have a really light drawing hand. So if I use pencil, you can't see anything. So use whatever you have, pen, pencil. So first thing you're going to do on your paper is write your name so we can see it, and your preferred pronouns. Mine are she, her. And then you're going to do the doodling. So you can really do anything that you want. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Again, remember, we're just trying to loosen up and have fun and practice. So if you want to draw like you're a kid again, a lot of kids draw houses like this, right? Isn't that everybody's house with 2 windows maybe? You could try drawing that. Or I see lots of kids, they draw a face and then the arms just come out like that. There's a good doodle. And you can also, what did I always used to draw? I always used to draw flowers like this, just overlap. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just start loosening up. I doodled all through high school and college, and in the margins of my notebooks, I would just make one continuous line like this. And it really helped me listen. And I would just go on, and I would fill up whole margins of loose leaf paper doing this. And it was actually a really relaxing way for me to learn. And I would just keep going, making one line. So you can do something totally abstract like that. You can also try bubble letters, which I always loved as a kid. You can make your name into some bubble letters. You can really do whatever you want. Oh, now mine is not very legible now because I'm making a little bit of a mess, but I want to show you this as kind of a mess because it doesn't have to be perfect. You can color it in. You can do this while you're watching TV. You don't have to take too much time. I want you to just practice getting something down on paper. It's not precious. It's not perfect. Just draw like you're a kid. Doodle, make your bubble letters, but you're going to need your name, your pronouns. You can have your pronunciation if you want. My name people always say wrong, so I like to have the pronunciation. maybe you can make a little word bubble for that. And then do some kind of doodle or drawing on your paper, and that is it. All right, so I'm going to show you how to photograph artwork. If you have a scanner and your artwork is small enough to scan, scanning is always the best, but many of us don't have scanners. So with anything bigger that doesn't fit in a scanner, or if you don't have a scanner, you're going to have to photograph it. Now, if you are using a scanner, you're going to have to look that up on your own. Everybody's different, and you might have a scanner printer combo, and they all work differently. So it wouldn't make any sense for me to show you how to do that. So what you don't want to do is say, this is your artwork, right? You don't want to just take the photo like this for several reasons. One, because your hand is going to be shaky. Another big one is that it'll often leave a shadow on the artwork, which will be distracting to the work itself. So for those two main reasons, and it's hard to just get it straight on. So my suggestion is to prop up your artwork against a wall. You can put it on a bulletin board. If it's slipping, this is like the back of a notebook, some cardboard to keep it sturdy. You can use like a cardboard box or whatever you have. I suggest just taking some tape if you don't have a bulletin board or someplace to put it. You could always tape it onto the wall, but you might not want to rip off your paint or wallpaper. I do this art teacher trick, which is just to take some of the adhesive off of the tape by just doing like this with your fingers, and do a little of that. Then you can tape it onto a piece of cardboard, your bulletin board, or the wall, and get it set up like that. Okay, so having it upright like this, and now we're thinking about lighting. What you always want to do is turn the overhead lights off. Now I have a window coming in this direction, pointing right at my artwork, which is always a great thing. Natural light, daylight is always helpful. If you don't have a good window or it's not daytime when you're trying to take the photo, I suggest turning off the overhead lights so you're not getting any big shadows, and then maybe getting two like table lamps. You can experiment with taking the lampshades off, one on each side so they're pointing this direction. If you have a lamp pointing directly at the artwork, it's going to give you some shadows. So just experiment with lights you have around your home. Obviously, if you have like a ring light or something like that, you can put it straight on. And if you have a window, that helps. So again, my window's coming like this direction, straight at the artwork. Then, so we have it upright, we have the lighting set up, and then I have some books on a surface where I'm going to stabilize my hands. So I'm going to keep my hands really steady. I'm using an iPhone here, and I'm going straight on. So my phone and the artwork are parallel with each other, and I'm making sure there's no shadows anywhere, adjusting lights, and then I'm steadying my hands, because no matter what, even if you have really steady hands, it's gonna wobble a little bit and get blurry. So you want to either put your hands on a pile of books, or you can put your elbows on a table. And I'm getting really close to the art and kind of cropping it, but leaving some space around. What I really want to make sure to do is not have this, like this stuff from the spiral notebook. We don't want to see anything that's going to be distracting from your fabulous artwork. And then if you have a phone that, focuses itself, I always tap the center of the screen to focus right on the artwork, and then take a photo. You can take a couple, move back and forth and try to focus. And then when you find the photo you want, in the iPhone, every phone is a little different. Most iPhones have a way to edit and then crop. So you can crop within your iPhone. You can also crop on your computer, but you want to make sure you get a good image. And then you can email this to yourself. You can save it onto your computer. You can post it to Canvas right from your phone. So just make your life as easy as possible getting the good image of your artwork so it's nice and clean and cropped. All right, so now that you have your image of your drawing taken, you're going to post it to the discussion. Let me get in the student view here for you. And the way you do that is by coming down, my video will be here, and pressing reply. And then you want to embed the image. That's this icon here. And you're gonna upload an image, and you can click on here. And I have mine saved to my desktop. So this is the image I just took with my phone, and press open. The alt text is for people with visual impairment. So you can just take, say, discussion. You don't have to do that. And you want to embed the image. We don't want a link. We don't want a attachment. And you press submit. Now, sometimes it's really big. You can click on here and go to image options, and you can make it medium or small, just enough so we can see it. So we should be able to see what it looks like. And then you just post your reply. Now, if you want to reply to a classmate, then you can reply as a thread underneath theirs. But to put your image here, you're going to press this reply button all the way at the top underneath the instructions. So make sure it's an embedded image and that the image is clear, easy to read, and that you have your name, pronouns, and a little doodle on there, and that it's cropped.